They've already announced what Will Ospreay is going to be doing next. He's going to be wrestling Pac in Chicago. He's going to be defending what MJF called the All-American title. It was MJF and Will Ospreay for the international championship. And we've got a new international champion. The folks over at Cage Match felt like that was the second best match on the show, just behind Swerve and Danielson. What did you think of what MJF and Will Ospreay put together in Wembley?
I thought they did a nice job. I really do. I think they did a nice job, told a good story. I was a little turned off by the final build-up going into that match on Dynamite that preceding Wednesday, because it seemed like there was just too much talk. I thought it was too much jabbering. That was just me. I don't think you need 15 or 20 or 25 minutes to cut a promo. You shouldn't. If you are sold on your concept and you believe in what you're saying and it's important to you, then all those things should be enough. That should make you get to your point passionately, convincingly, and move on. But I thought those guys had a good match. Their styles are comparable as far as that's concerned. But I liked the match, Connie. I thought it was good. We had a big TV in our locker room, and it made it a lot easier. But they had a nice match. Their physical match too.
What do you think of the Tiger Driver storyline and execution?
Well, it's been told intermittently. I understand it. I understand making it more dangerous, and putting it in that respect. But I think we've moved on it real quick, and I don't know that it's sold. I think the best days of promoting the Tiger Driver 98 is still to come. It takes a while for things like that to get established. And now the diehards are going to say, well, I got it all. I knew all about it. Yeah, but you're in the minority. And this was, it's an interesting angle. I'm intrigued by it. But I don't know how they're going to use it or if they're going to use it. It's a move that is too close to failure for me to make it a regular part of the repertoire of anybody. Just you're off a little bit here, off a little bit there. I mean, just a little bit, and you got some disaster. And I don't like those odds.
An incredible performance by both Ospreay and MJF. Of course, MJF was in the main event last year at Wembley against Adam Cole. Adam Cole was not on this show, and neither was Jon Moxley. And I had a little viewing party at my house, and people were saying, "Hey, where's Mox? What's Mox doing?" Any word on when we might see or hear from Jon Moxley again?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't on site either, as you mentioned. Adam Cole was not on site. Adam Copeland was not on site. Kenny Omega was not on site. There's a hell of a pay-per-view card right there.
Yeah, it is.
So I don't know. Injuries, booking decisions. John's got a lot to say about how he's used. And he may not have felt like there was an opponent ready for him, and a story has not been well told enough to earn his opportunity. He's an old school guy, and he's going to want some build up before he just walks back out there. And quite frankly, I don't know what he would have added with all we already had. It was a huge card, a lot of movable parts. But I don't know. I was on the plane back. It's like a AEW charter. It wasn't with golly. I'm trying to think. Britt Baker was on that flight. Mercedes Monae. Did I say that right?
Yep.
God, I got lucky. I'm trying. Oh, Cesaro. Sammy Guevara. I sat behind Sammy and his hair the whole trip. God, he's got some. I guess the new deal is you just don't comb your hair. Anyway, get out of my yard, motherfucker. So anyway, it was like a big AEW flight. trying to think who else was on there. There's a couple more. So
you mentioned Mercedes Monae. She defended successfully her TBS championship with Dr. Britt Baker. For whatever reason, it wasn't very well received online. I think besides Hook and Chris Jericho that had a lot of free interference, it was the lowest rated match amongst the readers over at Cage.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. I've seen some people online who think that there's now an anti-Britt Baker bias, that maybe folks have decided they don't like Britt Baker and they're just going to trash talk that. I've seen some people who felt like, the match was just in a bad spot. And I even talked a little bit about that with Eric Bischoff earlier in the week. From a formatting standpoint, did we need another match besides Mercedes and Britt Baker after Ospreay and MJF? I've heard Bruce sometimes call this a let me up match.
Right.
And they did not have, an old school funny ha-ha ladies match. I mean, they went 17 minutes. They were having a real deal wrestling match, and following Ospreay and MJF is a tall ask. I'm wondering if just the positioning on the card
might have been
the crowd feeling a little flat. And I don't know. What say you?
Might have been. I also think that 17 minutes was more time than they needed to tell the story that they needed to tell.
I got you.
Both of them have the influence of Tony. Tony probably had in his head, oh, let's go about 10, bell to bell, and which would have been plenty. Plenty. I'd have signed off on that in a heartbeat. But talent negotiate for more time. They think automatically that if they have more time, their match will automatically be better, which is ridiculous. So I don't know. I thought the match was too long. And people just had not yet quite bought into that story. So and maybe in another month of good TV, they would. I just don't understand that biased concept. I understand what you're saying, and I don't totally disagree. I just don't know why it's occurring.
There was a report that perhaps they had to cut time from Jack Perry and Darby Allin. Those guys go 10 minutes and 37 seconds, and they followed Mercedes Monae and Britt Baker. So there's been speculation. Did Ospreay and MJF go over? Did Monae and Britt Baker go over? We don't really know. SaveWithConrad.com.
Mark Taggart from Rantoul, Illinois. My wife started the process with one of the big major corporations, and things were going very badly. And finally, I just stopped and said, hey, listen, I've been listening to the ads for years. Let's go with Save with Conrad and see what we can have happen. We were trying to free up a little space so we could spend down some debt and do some home improvements. We saved quite a bit, and in the long run, we're going to do a lot better with Save with Conrad than we would have anywhere else. It was absolutely beautiful. Like Larry and Francis were they were the greatest. Not only were they professional and knew what they were talking about, they were friendly and they cared about the job they were doing, which was so important to me. I would absolutely recommend Save with Conrad to anybody. Hi, this is Mark Taggart from Rantoul, Illinois, and I wanted to do some home improvements and spend down a little debt, and I got hold of Save with Conrad, and we did incredibly.
NMLS number 2129, Equal Housing Lender.
SaveWithConrad.com.